Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Juggernaut wave. We're looking today at X-Men member Iceman. Iceman also includes the other arm that we need for Juggernaut. Package-wise, it's the same yellow and black X-Men box art that we've seen with the other figures, with the only notable exception as the characters representing the figure inside are featured predominantly on either side of the packaging. The back of the package has a read-up saying Iceman keeps his cool in battle with his ability to turn water into ice and freeze his own body to temperatures below zero. I don't really know what he's doing here. I don't know. I don't know. Other figures available down below. I don't know why I had to stop and just kind of reflect on what, like, that's the pose they ended up going with for the pack. Oh, I don't know. Other figures available of a total release of 9 figures in this wave are Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Marvel's Havoc, Marvel's Rogue, Marvel's Phoenix, Cable, and Deadpool. You really only technically need 7 figures. I know, Spot, you said that already. 7 figures to build yourself Juggernaut here. And then you've got Deadpool on the side. He's just basically like a throw-in. You still have to pay money for him. You can't get him for free, but he's a throw-in to essentially this 7-figure set. I think I said 9, but it's actually 8 figures in total. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the Marvel Legends series X-Men Iceman. X-Men member Iceman. I still don't know the back of the pose, but anyways, there's more coming your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Just before we have a look at Iceman, let's have a look at the Build-A-Figure component that comes included with him, which of course is the other arm for Juggernaut. One thing that Spot's going to have to remind himself as well, I'll have to write this down on my agenda book. Spot, you have an agenda book? I do have an agenda book. I'm going to write it on my agenda book that when we have a look at Juggernaut, I want to do a comparison between Marvel Select Juggernaut and Marvel Legends Juggernaut, so I want to see the two side by side. I'm sure you guys want to see that as well? Yes? Okay. I'm going to write that in my agenda book. Let's bring in Juggernaut. Let's add the other arm to the socket portion there. Bingo bango. There you got Juggernaut. I know what you're thinking. He's got no head. We'll fix that in the next review. All right, so let's have a look at Iceman. Iceman. Well, I mean, Iceman has the same track record when it comes to figures as Human Torch. You get good examples of these figures, and a lot of times you get bad examples of these figures. And unfortunately, part of me really wants to like this figure. A good portion of me wants to like this figure, but sadly, I just can't. What they've ended up doing is they've resorted to giving this guy a complete translucent plastic treatment, rather than, Spot, what are you segueing to? Rather than the packaging here, which clearly looks as if they've gone above and beyond and painted aspects of this figure, as opposed to just they just took a clear translucent plastic and they just filled everything in on him, and he's just molded in this plastic. Here, they look like they've gone in and they painted some blues, some rather nice purples, and some lighter blues in there as well. I wish that they had actually focused as much on the physical as they did on the back package artwork of this figure, because it's not like it's artwork. That's what the figure looks like. You can see all the joints and everything else. I don't know why they could not have stuck it on this figure itself. This has potential. This figure is not bad, but it's clearly, for me at least, a far step down from that artwork. It is using the skinnier body, and you know how I've been on record of saying what my feelings are for the skinnier body, one of which being the fact that the thighs, more predominantly on Iron Fist, but how the thighs stick out further than the torso, or the lower torso portion of the figure. Humanly, I don't think that's really possible, how the abdomen and the butt area could be that thin, and yet the thighs stick further out from that. I don't know, maybe there's humans out there that can do that. It makes for a very thin figure. which I suppose could easily be a good fit for Iceman. But then when I look at something like a Havoc, I don't feel like Iceman necessarily needs to be that thin. I feel they could have easily gotten away with using the same sort of body as Havoc instead of going with the lanky body, which to me only has ever worked with Spider-Man. Every other figure that has used this torso and this body frame, in my own honest opinion, I don't think has been successful. Maybe if you like the Iron Fist figure, that's fine. I don't really like this body build, personally speaking. Now, Iceman does have one little appliance that actually comes on the figure when you get him out of packaging. He comes with this additional collar of ice. It is not the same blue as the majority of his body. In fact, it's almost more like a frosted white color, and it's a soft rubbery plastic. Making use of the hole that's at the back of the figure for things such as capes and whatnot, you simply just plug that into place, and it gives him some extra filling that fills out what could have already looked like a very lanky body to start off with. It helps to detract from how thin and small the frame is, because taking it off, it does look a little on the lanky side. He looks a little malnourished. His face, unfortunately, I don't know why, but his face is a different color than the rest of his body. Just by the way everything's been assembled to the figure as well. Things such as the arms, like this section of the arm, and this section of the leg, and the head are all different colors than the middle torso. Middle torso is more blue. These are, again, are more of a clear color. Also, too, with the arms and hands are extremely rubbery. I can almost, well, I can bend the arms, and I can bend the legs. The feet, again, as you get closer down to the ends of the limbs, the hands and the feet, are the softest of the entire frame of the figure. Again, I suppose chalk it up to the type of plastic that they used. At least it's not a solid plastic, because clear plastic, you know how it is guilty for consistent breaking, especially if you had older figures that use clear plastic. Using rubber is a smarter route, or rubbery plastic is a more smarter route, as these aren't going to break on you. But again, it just it just makes the figure feel flimsy, which ultimately is my biggest gripe with the figure. He feels flimsy, which is unfortunate to a lot of clear figures. Clear figures, you know, having looked at, well, Invisible Woman, I'm trying to think of other clear figures that we've looked at on this channel. It's going to come to me later. But clear plastic just has a different feel to it than regular traditional plastic. You can also see all the more inner workings of the plastic frame, of course, rather than it being painted. We didn't really even look at his face sculpt. I know we quickly zoomed through it, but let's look at his face in a more close-up look. I think the face is about the only thing I do like about the figure. The spiky, somewhat ice hair that he's given is the same kind of thing that they do with Human Torch a lot of times too. They sculpt hair out of fire. In this case, they've sculpted hair out of ice, and it's one of the better aspects to the figure. In fact, if you could simply just take the figure head sculpt off and plant it onto a larger frame figure, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. But the head sculpt can't save the entire figure, and I feel like in this instance it really doesn't. Let's just put the frame, let's put the collar back on. It might fix to fill in some of the extra stuff. When it comes to his posability, let's run through this together. His head rotates all the way around. A hinge up and down, and through the virtue of doing that, sometimes the head will pop off the socket. The arms rotate out, rotate all the way around, and when you do this, yeah, this will get in the way, so be mindful of that. And even then, because he's got the back and forward crunch on the shoulders, when you rotate the arms, there's a little portion of the torso that sticks out. And because it sticks out, sometimes it means a little more difficult to try to get the arms around it. You have to make sure that this is sticking straight, completely out, and not tucked in at all. And then you can rotate the arm all the way around. There's a rotation in the bicep portion, a double hinged elbow, and a rotation and hinge in the hands. Upper torso crunch, a rotation all the way around on the waist, forward, back, and out motion on the legs, a top swivel cut on the thigh, which is really stiff on this figure, double hinge knee, and a hinge in the foot. Very rubbery feet. Admitting, like, the overall look of the figure, I don't like it. I don't like the frame. I think the frame's too thin. I wish they had almost gone the route of maybe giving him the same body as Havoc. I love the head sculpt, but to be honest, the head sculpt can't save an overall dismal figure, in my own honest opinion. I don't like this frame. I never liked this body other than maybe on Spider-Man. And it just feels like a loose mess. Even though really the joints are stiff. I can't knock the figure for having loose joints, because he really doesn't have loose joints, but just by the virtue of the type of body that they've given him, he is a bit of a lanky mess. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Today's Toy Spot, though, we're continuing our looks at the Marvel Legends. This was the Juggernaut wave, and this was Iceman. But the only thing I like about this figure, I think, is the head sculpt. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's got 2 videos left. 2. We got Wolverine, we got Deadpool, I guess technically 3, and then we've got Juggernaut as well. So 3 videos to come. Certainly let me know, guys, what you think of Iceman down below, and I'll see you next time.